Hello, good morning, and welcome. My name is Manny Wolfe. I am the creator of the Manny Wolfe Group. I am the writer and author of The Tao of the Unbreakable Man, international best-selling book for you, baby. Although it's been a while since I wrote that. It almost seems like I shouldn't try to claim it as part of my acumen, but whatever. I digress. I just wanted to sort of riff with you guys today about the hard parts, you know? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, like, what are your strategies for when the hustle, the grind, the work gets hard? So what do I mean by hard? Well, usually what I mean is it gets hard in here, but the illusion is that it begins to look like it's hard out there. So it gets hard in our heads first, and actually in our nervous systems, if I'm being honest. And what happens is that changes our perception, and our perception makes it seem like it's hard outside, like things coming at us are hard. And I share that because, this is nothing like I'm not going through some dire straits or desperate times or anything like that, but I noticed over the last couple days that I was like in a emotionally, I was in a period of tension, and I think I still am. And so it got me to thinking and journaling on what happens when we hit those periods of tension, right? Because for a long time now, my professional life, along frankly with my personal life, has been in a wonderful state of flow. It's most of the time just fabulous. And I'm certainly not trying to brag or anything, but the truth is that most of the time my life is pretty great. And so sometimes things, it doesn't stay like that, and it can't, and it shouldn't. And so here's the idea, one of the ideas at least, that I wanted to offer you. I have been through these times of what it feels like is contraction. That's what it feels like. It feels like things are contracting. And so it's like my ability to stay excited about the future gets kind of tense and tight. My ability to feel confident in what the next move is, those kind of things. But here's what I want to share with you. If you've experienced those times before, then you have a track record of what happens, right? So you can look back over the past and learn. So for me, I know that every time I have one of those periods where things are like a little tight and out of flow, it tends to mean that something either somewhat big or really big is on the horizon. Like it tends to be a precursor to some kind of breakthrough, some kind of level up, some kind of new moment of clarity. And you've heard me talk a lot about organic marketing and how it can feel like this sort of like crazy treadmill, this crazy hamster wheel, and how important it is to have plans and systems for your organic marketing. And those things are so true. Otherwise, you just feel like if you're not on all the time, you're taking your foot off the gas. But sometimes, even when you're doing everything right, you still have these lags. You still have these periods where you aren't maybe getting the results you want. You aren't maybe getting the results you need or expect. And it can really kind of throw you for a loop. So I guess what I want to share there is that doesn't mean you need to suddenly change up. It doesn't mean you need to shift gears. It doesn't mean you need to change lanes. It doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't working. Right? It's just a natural cycle. It's a naturally occurring cycle. Hey, Joe. So who do we have? We have Marcus, we have Diana, and we have Joe that I can see from here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. The slower parts are a naturally occurring cycle. And that's what I want you to understand. And oftentimes, it's really not the things that are happening to you. It's the old brain. It's the old mind shifting a little bit, because we don't just, for whatever reason, we don't just stay in this super high vibration of flow all the time. There are external factors that weigh on us and things like that, and there are emotional factors, and so know that it's coming. I guess that's really what I wanted to share with you. Is for me, it's been very useful when these things happen to recognize what they are when they're happening, to know that sooner or later they'll come again, and to really understand that they tend to be precursors to something big and exciting. A big breakthrough, a big aha moment, a big whatever, a big piece of clarity. So I think what a lot of people do is when these times in our process come where it's harder, you're less clear, Joe says, got to stay calm in the middle of the storm. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, Joe. So you got to stay calm in the middle of the storm. And if we're going to use that analogy, you also have to sort of, keep the boat on the same path it was on before. Hey, Jackie, you know what I mean? Like, this is not the time to switch gears. And I think a lot of us in the entrepreneurial world, that's kind of our go-to when we feel that tension or that, like things aren't going right now the way we wanted them to. Jackie. It tends to be a precursor for a lot of us to shiny object syndrome, right? Because we want that feeling. We want that feeling of excitement and that feeling of the new thing and the feeling of flow and all that stuff. The disciplined among us know to stay the course. The disciplined among us, the experienced among us know that these things come, they happen, and that they usually do lead to some more valuable level of clarity. They lead to more opportunity, more money, more whatever. They tend to be precursors to some level of breakthrough. And that's what I want you to understand, right? So if you have a strategy or a set of strategies or a game plan ahead of time, and you can recognize these things when they happen and know them for what they are, then you can choose. And it used to be that you could choose your reaction. And it used to be like, for me, what I would do when these happened is I'd feel the stress, and then I'd say to myself, oh, I better take a break, right? And this piece here I owe to Peter Voog. This is where Peter was the one that I heard say this. He said, I used to think that when things got hard or stressed out, it meant I had to back off. And he said, now what it means is I stay focused, I keep pushing until I get the result I want. And I really love that. Joe says, I can't change course on employee escape plan. I'm heavily invested in my cause. Good. So I love the shift in mindset, that says just because it's hard, just because you're feeling a little bit of stress and anxiety, doesn't mean you let your foot off the gas, doesn't mean you rest, doesn't mean you switch course. No, these things come. It's like, I don't know, imagine if you were on a racetrack and you had a difficult turn. You wouldn't just give up the race, right? It's kind of the same as that. It's kind of the same thing. But oftentimes we don't know it. And we don't know it because we don't sort of know ourselves. We don't know our own process. We don't know, we don't have the level of self-awareness that is suitable to guide us through these times. And so allow me to hopefully share some of this self-awareness with you and give you what you may need for the future. So I guess if I was to break it down, I'd say understand that these times are coming. Understand that the hard times, the times of self-doubt, the times of anxiety, the times where maybe you can't see the next payday on the horizon, they're coming. And if you're committed to what you're doing, you have to know that they're coming. Then you have to be able to recognize them. The lead up and the part where you're in that process of maybe the anxiety or the stress or whatever. And then you have to have strategies for how to deal with it. One of my favorites is to not back off when that happens. And again, this is from my mentor, Peter Voog. But it used to be, when he said this, it's sort of a mind-blown thing because I was the same way, and then I thought it was just me. We all make that kind of that confirmation bias error. We think that the things we experience are just us. Turns out most people experience them. One of them was when things get stressful, I would back off. I would take that as a sign to just back off. But here's the thing. If you record in your nervous system that when things get stressful, you back off, you're just programming your nervous system, your physiology, to use stress as an indicator when you're maybe a little tired or something, right? So that is let's see if I can get this right. If you do that, you're encoding into yourself, into your emotional life, into your behavior, into your physiology, you're encoding the idea that it's okay for things to take much longer than they really should take. And what will happen is your body will generate the stress for you more and more and more, and you'll wind up spending more and more and more time not doing what you should be doing. Instead, get comfortable with the stress. Learn how to focus with the stress. Learn how to produce with the stress. Learn how to work with the stress. And then, of course, sometimes you do have to back off. Sometimes you do have to break, rest, and recreate. Most of the time that you may feel like you're supposed to, you probably aren't supposed to. You're probably supposed to train and discipline yourself, your mind, and your emotions to move through it. So you need strategies in place. That's what I'm saying. The strategies I've given you here are good. They've worked for me. They work well for me. So I understand that these feelings and these times are precursors to a breakthrough. I've learned to recognize them for what they are, both the ramp up to the stress period and the stress period itself. And I've disciplined myself not to take my foot off the gas just because the work or the time is a stressful one. These have served me very well. And by all means, take them and use them for yourself. But even if you don't use this system, you have to have a system for this stuff or it can completely derail you. So that's what's up with me on this Sunday. I'm not going to do a big call to action today. Just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. Wanted to get it off my chest. Mostly I wanted to process it because I've been going through it. And I journaled about it today and that helped with clarity. And I just thought I'd process it out loud with my Facebook peeps. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope this helped at least one of you. If it has helped you, let me know. Take a second out of your day and let me know if this has been helpful, because these periods of stress are coming. If you're not having one right now, you'll be having one soon, and you need the tools and the strategies to deal with them. Otherwise, you wind up spending way too much time off of your primary goals, and you don't want that. Okay, thanks very much.